So hi everyone, today in this video we're going to develop a mental model that can be useful for you, since mental models are representations about how the reality works. And as much more you grasp them, higher is your probability to succeed and to have prosperity in your life, because more information you're going to have it, which so will better make you as a predictor of the future. And if you get in the better positions understanding so what could be the potential type of situations, context that you're gonna be in, so better you will be prepared because you already have knew that we have a tendency to go for certain ways. And then so obviously will so put you in a better position to get what I say that everyone tends to want. But then so obviously what's like the best way to grasp the information to develop our decision making is probably by getting from what the ones have studied and have been proved as true, what are the patterns that other ones have recognized and have been developed, trying to understand them, obviously so could be the best ways. Instead of just relying in your experience of life and testing and see what's real or not, why not see what the ones have already done and then so get these as a weapons and not having as a need to put us in the combat to understand what's real or not. And then so with that's why we kind of go the way kind of we're going in a marathon, looking for all these mental models that exist in all type of matters that we tend to study: psychology, economics, thinking, technology. And then so what's gonna be a one today? Another one economic that's called the hysteresis effect. Why economic scares last forever? It's like what this mental model tends to argue. What's like the core idea of this? That hysteresis from Greek is called in Greek, so deficiency explains why temporary economic shocks like recessions, pandemics, automation, can cause permanent damage to unemployment, productivity and growth. So even after the crisis passes, the economy doesn't fully recover, and so it's left with lasting scares. This model also challenged the myth that economies always bounce back, revealing why prevention is cheaper than cure. But then so how this mental model works? Why? So it's arguing that the economic shocks like recessions, pandemics, automation can cause permanent damage. Is not just like a cycle that we're gonna be real good today. It creates scares that last forever. It's what this mental model kind of argues. But then so we need to understand how it works to so see if this mental model can have like a logical sense for you. But then so what are the bullet points that this mental model has on them? So skills erosion, important one. Long-term unemployment erodes all worker skills, making re-entry into job market harder. Example, a factory worker laid off during automation may never regain tech relevant skills. So it's basically in economics what we have elements that have learning, have study, whatever is the field of study that they have present in, whatever is in economics, whatever is in medicine, whatever is the industry and thing that he has developed. Why we want people to get formation? Because we want to get efficiency, we want people to produce something, and for that so they have to get knowledge about what's real or not, and then so they have to be developed, they have stimulation. Since the school that we're all stimulated because initially we're obligated, you're obligated in the initial of your life to go for school, but then so you understand to get a good life. And obviously so it's systematically happened by everyone, amplifies and so creates economic system that we have so much good things that we already have created, and not just they have created but have produced in scale. But then so what happens with these recessions, pandemics, sometimes as well the automation that we're seeing a lot today, is that makes so people that have work, they got so unemployed. And so you, when you get unemployed, you're not working, so you're not producing. And the reality is that our brain works by what? By memory. If I'm not doing something, our brain so perceives that it's not, doesn't have utility, so you to remain having in your storage, in your memory, so the whole to do something. And that's so over the time, if you got unemployed coming so after a recession, the pandemics, your what we have been studying, what you have invested by you not having usage during a short term of time, even if it's short, sometimes can be longer, then you become less specialized on that. It's like you're better if you constantly practice something. And obviously, so long-term employment erodes worker skills, which is bad for economics. Creates people that have less skills. Their skills, so now uh, they kind of are not as much filled as they were in the past. And then, so obviously, it makes the re-entry in the job market harder because people are not stimulated as happens in a where they're in job, that so they feel motivation to continue with learning because they have incentives, because they have a day-to-day action in the job that they can apply their learnings, and obviously so it makes people less specialized, which is bad for a economy. So skills erosion, a thing that comes with the economic shocks, and that's difficult to kind of make it, and it happens as much so people are older that they have less plasticity to learn, because sometimes these type of shocks they create a shift in so what are the new skills that people need to develop, like down automation. It creates it. Certain jobs over the time by the evolution of technology make so are not that much of utility to be done by humans, and then it's difficult to make have this plasticity as much older people tend to have, because the neuroplasticity is harder to exist, and then these people that were useful by the appearance of tech, they other texts, so they become not useful, and they're harder to them to enter in other type of markets, and then so creates a chronic type of increase in the unemployment. But that's something that comes with the evolution of technology. It's a trade-off. But then, other thing, investment freeze. Companies delay research and development and expansion during crises, stalling innovation for years. It's like, as I said, research and development is a continuous learning of what works. If we're during so a time, we're not testing, we're not seeing if a certain idea is great or not, it's something that you never recover. It's not something that you can recover, because research and development is something that is depending of time. And then so if you lose time, you're losing so the progress, and then so obviously you're always going to be more later to achieve certain results as you were if you were so continuously investing in research and development. What are like examples? Post 2008 crisis, firms ordered cash instead of investing, slowing so the productivity growth. Is always something that it becomes the evolution later to come, and it's not something that you can recover and so make it to achieve in a certain type of time that you would if a crisis didn't exist. Psychological trauma, consumers and business become risk averse, suppressing spending and entrepreneurship. What makes people create new things? Because they have incentives. If I have less or more type of risk aversion, I'm becoming less so prone to invest. And then so what happens? What's like the enmity of creativity or in creation of something? Is the lack of time to do it, the lack of incentive to do it. And this comes when people become more programmatic, when so they have these psychological traumas. And a notable point, policy paralysis. Governments fixate on short-term fixes like the bailouts over structural reforms in education and infrastructure that probably are the main type, certain type, the main contributors for these economic shocks. Real world examples, we have the lost decade, that's how it's called in Japan in the 90s. A real estate crash lead to the flash in stagnation. Even with zero interest rates, Japan's GDP never regained pre-crisis growth. Eurozone unemployment post-2008, Southern Europe's youth unemployment hit 50% in 2013 and may never found stable jobs, creating a lost generation. Long COVID in the 2020s, 3 years post-pandemic, US labor force participation remains 1% below pre-COVID levels due to early retirements and chronic illness. Why it matters? Everyone understands inequality. History widens gap, elite recover faster while others face permanent setbacks. Debt traps nations borrow to stimulate growth, but stagnation makes repayment impossible. Like, as example, the Greece debt crisis. And political extremism, economic despair fuels populism, as seen in Brexit as an example. What are like so the solutions, potential solutions? We have one, the preventive stimulus act before crises deepen, like Denmark's job training programs during downturns, lifelong learning, subsidized reskilling for displaced workers, like Singapore's Skills Future, and automatic stabilizers tie unemployment benefits and stimulus to economic data, not political fights, and targeted investment. Fund future-proof sectors like green energy, ethics, to absorb displaced workers. So could be potential type of actions. So I expect this was enough to make you like the channel, to put a like, to subscribe, and then so obviously I expect this video was make you gain insights that you can apply in your life. So whatever, without much more to say, for now, just thank you and see you in the next one.